Hi, how are you today? The improved package has arrived. We're having it fitted in time for FP1. Have a look at the factory report.
That's some excellent news to start off part number 2 of the Manor Carimo. What's up, guys? Welcome back. As you can see, we've got the brand new downforce upgrade ready for the car for the second race here at Bahrain. So without further ado, let's get into practice 1. Let's get some more resource points.
The magnificent Bahrain International Circuit sits majestically in the desert, situated just 30 kilometers from the capital Manor. Welcome to the Bahrain Grand Prix, where practice is about to get underway. A warm welcome once again to the man standing beside me in the commentary box for this session, Anthony Davidson. Hello, Ant. Excited to get underway?
Yeah, absolutely. I always look forward to seeing the cars get out there on track. And they probably won't be on the limit immediately, of course. We know that one or two of the teams are looking to do some work on new aerodynamic packages, so that always takes some time to get into. But it'll be really interesting to see later on in the session what kind of performance gains are there to be found.
Alright, here we are on the circuit, about to start our very first lap around the Bahrain International Circuit. As you can see, we're starting once again with the track acclimatization on the medium compound tyres as we're coming down into turn 1, getting purple immediately there and then getting another purple as we head into turn 2. There are a couple of mistakes on the opening lap, but that's because it's obviously first time around this circuit in a good while, or probably since the Sergio Perez one. It's also the first time I'm on this game. As you can see, we've made a couple of mistakes now there on the previous lap. We did manage to meet the minimum expectation though, and the engineers then decided to give us a higher expectation, which we then met. And then on the third lap, the engineers asked us to try and get pretty much all purple, 475 points, which, as we come to the end of the lap, we were just about able to do right now as we hit the DRS, coming across the line, and we managed to get the maximum resource points out of track acclimatization, like we did on Australia. We then moved on to the tyre wear test, but now unfortunately I had a couple of issues with this. I had to let through several cars that were disrupting me on previous runs that I tried on this, and I just needed to make sure I had pretty much clear air, because to be honest, having cars around you and cars behind you kind of throws you off when it comes to the tyre wear program. So what I did was make sure I had absolutely clean air throughout the whole session as we come across the line to start the tyre wear test. I did mess up the first lap, but everywhere else was all green, so we're going to get we're going to pass the test and we're going to get a decent amount of resource points as we come across the line. That was actually the end of practice 1 for us. I decided to save the qualifying test until the second practice. As you can see there, we did finish near the bottom of the standings, but that's expected considering we were only doing track acclimatization and tyre wear management. But we did manage to beat our teammate, and that gave us enough resource points to upgrade either the chassis weight, the drag, the fuel efficiency, or the engine power. Now, I was torn between chassis weight and drag because, of course, we've got power tracks coming up with China and Russia coming up. But I wanted to give us a good chunk of development against Sauber once again. So I decided to go for the chassis weight, and then hopefully we'll be able to get the drag upgrade as soon as possible, either during this weekend or during China, which is the next weekend. As we now move on to practice 2, as you see, the track is now getting a little bit darker because, of course, with the practice is done bit later on in the evening, and it's also a night race. As you can see, we set purple lap times on the first 2 laps for track qualifying, and we also set a purple lap in the final lap, which was actually good enough for theoretical 17th place. But in the actual practice itself, we managed to finish in 14th place. So I think we've got a really good chance of actually getting into Q2 at a circuit which Manor did actually quite well at in real life, where they nearly made it into Q2 in real life. I think mainly because of the crappy qualifying system, but I think in the race they were also pretty good. Verline, I think, just finished in 13th. So let's get into qualifying, let's see what happens.
Cars are ready, the drivers are ready. We hope you're ready as qualifying is about to begin here in Bahrain. When it comes to getting lap time out of this circuit, it's traditionally been about maximizing top speed. Do you simply remove as much downforce as possible, hang on into the corners and max out down the straights?
Top speed is a key factor for this circuit. Even if you can achieve the same lap time as someone running less wing than you, chances are you'll find overtaking difficult if you have too much drag.
Alright, here we are for Q1, ready to start our very first lap in qualifying. As you can see, we've gone for a little bit of a slight tactical change when it comes to what tyres we're using. We're actually going to use the super softs and do 2 laps on these rather than do 1 lap on the softs and then 1 lap on the super softs, because the super softs obviously are the quicker tyre, and I wanted to just give myself a lap on the board such that I can try and improve that on the super softs. So the opening lap was a little bit slower and I did make a couple of mistakes, but that was just to make sure I had a lap time on the board so that the delta comes up on the right hand side of the screen. As you can see, we come across about to end the second lap. As you can see, we're over 1.5 seconds quicker than our previous best, which allows us to move up into P7, and that lap time was actually good enough for us to make it into the second part of qualifying for the very first time, with Lewis Hamilton finishing fastest in that session. Rosberg was the only man on the soft tyres in the whole session, and we managed to finish 1.9 seconds off the fastest time, with Romain Grosjean, Magnussen, Ericsson, Wehrlein qualifying Palmer and Nasser as the slowest 6 cars eliminated in the first part of qualifying. We then moved on to Q2, and I decided just to do 1 time lap on a fresh set of super softs, because I very much doubted that I was going to make it into the final part of qualifying, but if I somehow did, I wouldn't run it in the third part of qualifying because it wouldn't really matter, because I pretty much would be 10th anyways. I was actually quite surprised with the time I actually did as we come to the end of the actual lap itself, so we open the DRS to end the lap. The time was actually good enough for P6 for now, with only 1.2 seconds behind Rosberg, but as you can see, at the end of the session, we only just missed out on the final part of qualifying, only about a 10th off the Force India of Sergio Perez and about half a 10th ahead of Carlos Sainz. So it was really close between the Force India of Perez and everyone else in that session, with the main surprise being Valtteri Bottas missing out in Q2 using just the soft tyres. So he's going to be one to watch out for in the race. Let's get on with that. I think we have a real chance of scoring our first points in F1.
The curtain rises once more then on the desert stage of Sakir as the players take their places for the opening act. Will they enthrall us like they did in 2014 with that titanic battle between Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton? Well, we'll find out shortly as we get underway here in Bahrain. Formula One returns to the desert today on this exceptional 3.36-mile circuit. 15 corners provide plenty of overtaking opportunities, and 2 DRS zones will help with that as well. It could be a strategic race, this one, with Sakir notorious for eating up the rear tyres. Watch out for drivers managing their rubber at some point during the Grand Prix. Bahrain has showed us many times in the past, though, Anthony Davidson, that a good strategy will only take you so far. Beyond that, you need good racecraft and you need good consistency.
And a little bit of luck too, I'd say. This is one of those circuits where the safety car always seems to come out just at the right time to condense the field together and mix up the cars on different strategies. It's hard on brakes, it's tough on fuel, and the main overtaking opportunity is down into turn 1, where it's easy to outbrake your opponent and potentially have a bit of argy-bargy as well.
Keep your eyes open on the run to turn 1 and keep it clean. We want to come out in one piece. Good luck.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Raikkonen, Vettel, Nico Rosberg and Ricciardo, Massa, Kvyat, Perez and Fernando Alonso, Manor, Sainz, Nico Hülkenberg and Button, Bottas, Gutierrez, Romain Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen, Ericsson and Wehrlein, Jolyon Palmer and Felipe Nasser starts from the back of the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Alright, here we are on the grid. Let's have a look at the race strategy for today. I decided to go for the high time management strategy. I know that's against my nature, but because of the fact that the tyre wear doesn't seem to be as bad as it was in, say, Australia, I think we might be able to get away with these 2 soft tyre runs, or if worse comes to worse, that middle stint can become the medium tyre, just to ensure we make that stint, and then we're really quick at the end on the super soft tyres. So without further ado, let us begin, but of course we start off with the manual start and the formation lap. So in terms of my actual race goals, it's pretty much to try and get into the points. That's just my main aim. I'm pretty sure a couple of these guys may end up 3-stopping. So the main aim is to try and get ahead of those cars and stay ahead at the opening stints, and then just see where we are after we make our pit stops. But going to be a challenge. Obviously, the guys behind are going to be quick as well because Sainz is there, as you can see there, is on the super soft. So we just got to make sure we keep it clean into turn 1. We don't get involved in any instance, and let's just hope we can have a good result today.
Keep an eye on the lights. The start sequence will begin as soon as the grid is formed. Be ready with the clutch.
Lights out and away we go. We've got a pretty decent start off the line. We blitz past Alonso and the Force India of Perez, but unfortunately for us, we're now down a bottleneck on the left-hand side of the track because of the cars of Kvyat and Massa, and now that's allowed Alonso to go back up the inside. We're making a little bit of contact with Massa and also some contact with Alonso, so I was a bit worried that I'd actually damaged the front wing there, so you can see me fiddling around trying to find the on the monitor there on the right-hand side, but as you can see there, we haven't got any damage there, which is very fortunate for us. We actually go up the inside of Alonso once again to retake those positions that we lost in turn 1. Alonso losing a bucket full of places after that, after running wide into that corner. Anyways, we're now cut to the end of lap 2 because lap 1 didn't really show anything else apart from the start of the race. So up until now, we've been on a race on our own. As you can see, Perez is trying to get past us on the outside. We're forcing him down on the left-hand side of the track because we want the inside line. We want to keep this place, and that's actually allowed Carlos Sainz to overtake Perez, and now he's the main threat behind us. And in front, you can see Kvyat and Massa are having a little ding-dong battle in front of us as we approach turn 4. Sainz is getting really close to behind us. Toro Rosso have made some really good improvements to the car, making 2 upgrades actually on the overall car itself. As you can see there, Massa peeling into the pits, very early pit stop for the Williams driver. But look at this, we're managing to get a massive amount of speed on Kvyat and drive straight past the Russian as we head into turn 1. So we've moved up a place. I didn't think we'd be able to pass an upgraded Toro Rosso there, but that's absolutely amazing. We're now up into P7 following Massa's pit stop. As we cut to the end of lap number 5, Carlos Sainz is now still the main threat. As you can see, we've moved up a couple of positions because of guys making pit stops. Sainz is now trying to go around the outside of us into turn 1, but once again, like we did with Perez, we're forcing him out wide and ensuring that we keep this. But Sainz was still there on the inside, and therefore he's managed to take the position. He was a little bit slow coming out of turn 3 though, which has meant we were able to stay with him. We made a little bit of contact, but once again, the front wing unfortunately wasn't damaged. We go up the inside of the Toro Rosso once again into turn 4. We're back up into 5th place, but of course some guys have already made their pit stops. As you can see, coming to the end of lap 6, Carlos Sainz once again trying to overtake us. I think he's got the move done this time because he's already straight past us before the corner, but once again we're holding him round the outside and we force him wide there, and that allows Hulkenberg, the other Force India, to get past Sainz, and that's cost the Spanish driver quite a few positions there. As you can see here, we're coming down the start-finish straight to start lap 8. There's a couple more cars in the pits. We're now actually up into P2 now. That's really surprising. I never thought we'd actually be up into the podium positions at all, whether it's pit stops or not. But now the new threat behind us is actually Bottas, following the pit stops of Sainz and Hulkenberg, because they were on the super softs tyres, I think. But Bottas is on mediums. It looks like he's going for a pretty long stint, like us, on our first set of tyres. As you can see, we've actually now taken the lead of the race due to Raikkonen making his pit stop. I never thought we'd be leading a race with a Manor in our second ever race, and as we come under threat from Bottas behind, he seems to have a little bit more pace. That's primarily because the medium tyre is holding up a little bit better than these soft tyres, but I've been able to manage these really well and get all the way to lap 11. That's Hamilton there. He's currently the actual net race leader as he carries on along with Bottas, who looks like he's going to be coming in the next lap, and we come in for our pit stop. Let's just see how far down the field we actually drop with this long stint that we've been on.
Release.
2.9 second pit stop. I was hoping for a little bit faster, to be honest, considering the gaps that we had compared with the cars that have already made the pit stops that we were fighting earlier on in the race. As we rejoined the track, we've got several cars entering turn 1 right now, so we're going to brake deliberately deeply in order to try and gain those positions back, but unfortunately that costs us a place to our teammate Pascal Wehrlein, who hasn't made a pit stop just yet. And as you see there, we've managed to stay ahead of Carlos Sainz, so that was the main aim in the end as we go up the inside of our teammate there into turn 4. Unfortunately, that forced him a little bit wide, and that allowed Sykes to make up a position as well. And this is actually a replay on board from Sykes' perspective. As you can see, you'll notice us going deep into the corner, and as you can see, massive side by side with Wehrlein, but then gets hung up to dry by the German, and now he's trying to go up the inside of us, whilst we try to judge and make a move on Wehrlein. As you can see, up the inside we go, and Sykes just follows us through and says, "Thank you very much, I'll take that free position." Anyways, we cut to the end of lap 14. We've actually managed to close the gap a little bit to the next car in front of us, which is Sergio Perez, and that allows us to get a little bit of DRS activation on point. And yeah, Perez did manage to overtake us via the undercut, but I think we might be able to get back to him later on in the race. As you can see, we are beginning to close the gap a little bit on the Force India. And just behind us, Bottas has now made a move on Carlos Sainz. He made a pit stop a lap after us, after using the medium tyres, as you guys remember early on in the race. As we cut to the end of lap 16, we're right behind the Force India right now, but unfortunately we won't be able to make an overtake on us, as he's now peeling off into the pits. But fortunately we will get DRS as we start lap 17. But unfortunately I do look behind me, but I don't actually make a move, and Bottas is now up the inside of us into turn 1. It looks like we might not be able to hold on, and we try and go up the inside into turn 2, but Bottas is able to hold on to the position. And look who's behind us right now. That is the Mercedes of Nico Rosberg, who's already made his second pit stop, and he's trying to go up the inside of us. But to be honest, I want to have a little duel and a little scrap with the Mercedes here. I want to see how long I can keep him back and try and cost him a couple of championship points here and there, because I know he's probably going to have to make a third pit stop on the day. We probably jump us anyway, but I just wanted to have a little bit of fun with the Mercedes, see how long I could keep him behind. Anyway, as you can see there, we very nearly made contact as we come across into turn 4. As we come to the start of lap 18, Rosberg is going completely straight past us, using the straight line speed of the Mercedes power and the DRS. But then we actually just go straight down the inside and make a little bit of contact with the Mercedes as we go into turn 1. But we've retaken the position back, and Rosberg in that helmet must be fuming at me not getting out of the way, considering Manor are in theory the B team to Mercedes. But to be honest, I want to make a statement. I want to say I'm not going to let any fast Mercedes through straight away. Unless you're coming by properly, I will fight for every last position. As you can see there, Rosberg goes up the inside into turn 11, I think, where at the end of the second DRS zone, but we were able to hold position round the outside and then into the inside for turn 12. And Rosberg then tries to go up the inside into the final, but locks up, and unfortunately we regained the position there. And that meant that Rosberg had to bail out and take his third pit stop. So we did a really good job, I think, in holding him back. But that kind of damaged our tyres a little bit. As you can see, we've got new threats behind us in the two Red Bulls of Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen just behind us as well. So those are the new two guys that we're fighting for position. Obviously, we're not technically racing them because they're on a different strategy to us. Ricciardo has already made, I think, his second pit stop. He's going to the end of the race as he tries to go up the inside into the final corner. But he was, like Rosberg, he wasn't able to make the move stick as we come on to start lap 24. We're now into the middle of lap 24. This is actually our pit stop. As you can see, Wehrlein's now in the pits for us. But as you can see, we're going into turn number 8 now. We understeer wide, unfortunately, though, and that actually allows Ricciardo to take the position there. A bit disappointed that I gave up the position that easily, but I wasn't racing Ricciardo anyway in the overall race scheme of things. So as you can see, Ricciardo will say, "Thank you very much, I'll take that free position there." As we come into the pits now for our final pits of the day, we're going to be putting on the super soft tyres to the end of the race. Let's just hope we are still in the points as we exit the pits.
Exit now.
2.6 seconds, a slightly quicker pit stop than we had previously, but we're now going to cut to the onboard of Max Verstappen, who made a pit stop the lap previously, and he's going past Hülkenberg now, and you'll see us just there on the right hand side of the screen. So we've lost our position to Verstappen, and we've also lost the position to Hülkenberg. I'm pretty sure we were in front of that Force India earlier on in the race, and unfortunately that has meant that we're down in 12th place and out of the points. However, we've got fresh super soft tyres, and the Force India is on worn soft tyres, so we are really making a challenge here to try and repass the Force India here, and hopefully we can then overtake another car and get back into the points here. As you can see, we're right behind the German as we come into the DRS zone. We're going to go hopefully fly straight past the Force India there. We're also in rich fuel mix. You can see we've now overtaking the Force India as we head into turn 1. We're up into P11. And up next is for Hulkenberg's teammate Perez. As I mentioned earlier in the race, I thought we might be able to challenge him later on as he's trying to manage a 2-stop strategy on those mediums right at the end, whereas we're on the fast super soft tyres at the end of the race. So massive gulf in tyre difference here, and we're going to have the DRS once again on the Force India like we did on Hulkenberg. As we set our fastest lap of the race, we go straight past the Force India Perez, and we are back into the points positions in 10th place. That's absolutely fantastic for us. Yeah, we could have had more points on the day if we pitted a little bit earlier, but I think I wouldn't have been able to manage the tyres as much as I could have. So in the end, I think I'm really happy with the result. We just finished behind Carlos Sainz, who just managed to pip us after battling him earlier. But we're going to come home taking 10th place on our first ever points in F1.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
Brilliant stuff from Mercedes today. That's another historic win. Tell me, Ant, what was the key to this success?
The difference was clearly in the strategy. You could tell they'd done a lot of work on the pit wall to really optimise each stint and get the most out of the tyres. And it highlights just how much of a team sport this really is. But credit to the driver as well, though. There's no good having a well-oiled machine behind the scenes without a talented hand on the wheel, of course.
So as I say that, we can see the drivers coming out now to collect their trophies. It's yet more silverware to take back to their base in Brackley after another excellent Grand Prix. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. It's a good result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. Moving on to the driver of the day then. Anthony Davidson, who would you go for?
Oh, well, I'm a bit spoilt for choice, Crofty. My instinct says Valtteri Bottas, and looking down the field, no one really jumps out at me to make me change my mind.
On to the constructors then. It was also a standout performance from Manor Racing today. Great stuff from them to move up the standings. After all that excitement, it's time for a lie down, I think. Thanks for joining us, and goodbye until the next race.
So confirmation of the results. Hamilton wins again, Raikkonen in second and Vettel third for Ferrari. Ricciardo in fourth, Bottas having a fantastic race after a poor qualifying, finishing in fifth. Rosberg in sixth, so we did cost him quite a few positions there. Verstappen in seventh, Kvyat eighth, Carlos Sainz in ninth, myself in 10th, and then further down the field, Wehrlein managed to finish in P18 in front of both Renaults, which was fantastic, and also in front of both Saubers, and no retirements actually at all during the race, which is quite interesting. Again, some good reliability there from all the teams. As we then cut to the Drivers' Championship, as you can see, we don't actually move a position in the standings there. As you can see, we're still in P12 right now, but up front we've got Raikkonen moving ahead of Rosberg and Ricciardo moving ahead of Bottas, with Verstappen moving a bit further down and Sainz moving up into the top 10 right there. And if we cut to the Constructors' Championship, there's no real changes in the overall positions except for us moving up into P7 ahead of Force India and Sauber. We're actually on the board there. As you can see, we've now officially overtaken Sauber there. That's absolutely amazing for us. That's the main aim, to try and beat, as I've mentioned before in the previous video, I want to try and beat Sauber at least this year. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's race. I certainly did enjoy racing it myself. And as you can see, we've got some good decent resource points from that, getting 105 points there, making our current best total to 238. And in the rivalry update, we once again obliterate Pascal Wehrlein. I mean, he's doing a fantastic job of himself near the bottom of the field, but we're doing an unbelievable job right now. As you can see, the driver position also doesn't get affected because we beat all the objectives right there. But yeah, if you really enjoyed this episode, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next race, which will be the Chinese Grand Prix at the Shanghai International Circuit. Till then, see you later.